whenever you want to go. 3, 2, 1.
Right? Cool. Okay, well, 1 year of follow-ups.
1 year of
Kyron
follow-ups.
is here on Creative Headspace.
What's going on? There's a funny thing I want to bring up.
Please.
While we start the pod. I found this a funny like manifestation moment because my good friend Jaden, I believe you met him at the Grimy pop-up, and he had told me that I think he was talking to you about the pod or something like that, and you said that I was going to be on the pod, but we haven't even conversed yet. So I found that like a funny like bridging of minds moment, because I was like, I don't even think we talked about it yet, but maybe it was because you maybe sent the DM or something. But anyway, it ended up working out. Now I'm here. But I found it funny because I was like, I don't think I've talked to him about that yet, but we're here now.
Oh, I really
by the grace of
appreciate it.
like really cool company. Shout out to Nolan and Max. Now I'm here, you know?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, shout out to Nolan. I had just started the podcast, and same thing with Max. And they were like, and they didn't know me.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, yeah, we'll come on and have a conversation with you, not knowing who I am.
Yeah.
So,
Ash too. Yeah. Shout out
yeah,
Ash, yeah.
Ashante as well. And I mean, must be Margella. Like, she's growing crazy. Yeah, coffee soon.
Yeah.
We're supposed to go for a coffee because we're trying to do like a little project-ish together.
Cool.
But I think she's avoiding me.
Ash, if you see this now, you can't dodge him anymore.
But, let's have some drink.
Yeah. Where's
I'm
mine at?
thirsty.
Mine's over here.
Yours right
Gotta
there.
crack the can real quick. I'm matching right now today with the can. Oh, yeah.
See, everything is just working
Oh,
perfectly.
yeah.
Shout out to Lamb for producing the podcast, too.
Shout out to my guy. Oh, that's nice.
He's-
I wasn't expecting this to be coffee and lemonade together.
It's good, right?
Yeah, it is good.
I think
That is
if-
good.
I thought it wouldn't be good, but I'm seriously in love with it.
Yeah.
So,
No, it's a good one. It's a good one.
yeah. So one of the things that I'm curious about is when you started making videos,
Yeah.
fashion was more oriented towards the sneakers, right? So say if I was to become a content creator today in the fashion space, what would be that era? The sneaker era.
Like the contemporary era right now,
Yeah.
like that's equivalent to back then.
Indeed.
Huh. I think it would be kind of, I don't know, it's a little torn. I feel like sneakers still have a big part of it too, right? Like it's a good entry level position for people to get into. Like I feel like Dunks is very accessible, and like vintage as well. There's a lot of different entry points. Also, if you go all the way back to like, I don't know, like fast fashion, there's a lot of different like ways where you could access fashion. But I feel like sneakers is still at the core of it for some reason. I don't know why. I don't feel like it's
Interesting you say
personally
that.
at a sneaker era anymore because I just wear boots. But I feel like I'm at a different arc of fashion right now. Like I'm very much at the end as opposed to the beginning. So I don't really think about the beginning too much anymore. But I don't know. There's a lot of things. I feel like TikTok has a big part to do with it as well too.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
Even
like what people like to grab as knowledge.
grab as knowledge,
Yeah.
listen to
Yes.
as well. Yeah. No, it's funny you bring TikTok now because I was going to bring Tumblr.
Yes. Yeah.
Tumblr
that was
was
for me. Yeah.
Exactly. Tumblr
Yeah.
was like your TikTok,
For sure.
right? What do you think the difference is between your TikTok and Instagram versus Tumblr?
I feel like when I was on Tumblr, it was very much just like discovery and like figuring things out. Like it really became my teacher in a sense. Like I had male role models around me. Like I had my dad, I had like my godfather, I had like a bunch of like just like uncle like figures around me that like kind of taught me things. But the internet was kind of the ultimate father figure in a way. Like it just showed me all the things I genuinely was attracted to. And you just find all these little niches that just feel like, oh, okay, I belong here, you know? Like when I found out about people like Ian Connor and like Lucas Sabat and like Virgil Abloh, this was all through Tumblr and me just like knowing what I liked but didn't know exactly what it was yet, and it kind of just blossomed in front of me. And then also other, like, it was very common for girls to have Tumblr back then too. Like it was very like grungy and like very like emotional, like So they were kind of expressing themselves through there and on that platform. And for me, it was more of like fashion and music and things like that. So everyone kind of just found their own thing.
Is Pinterest like the closest thing to Tumblr?
I feel maybe a bit in terms of like the action of like just all these chains of photos, but the comparison is like not super one-to-one because I feel like Tumblr has such a core about it. Like even to this day, I still find people using it for different mediums. Like I just watched this video by Karsten, who runs Meme Sailor. I forget the actual name of the core. I want to find it out.
Yeah, for
while
sure.
I keep
Go
on
for
talking about it, I'll just look it up for you. Karsten Kroning. I literally just seen it not too long ago. But anyway, it was talking about. I'm gonna find it before I even, because I really want to.
Yeah, no, absolutely, find it.
I found his account. I'm gonna get the actual. Okay, yes. So the idea of like indie sleaze is what I seen on Karsten's last video. He runs Meme Saint Laurent, which is like a fashion meme page.
Okay.
And Karsten does these like video essays about like dissecting certain like cores. And I feel like indie sleaze is such a big thing right now. And indie sleaze, for me, I feel like it boomed when I first was getting into fashion, which was like a lot of like the Strokes, which is like a rock band at the time. Like when I used to actually play Rock Band, the video game, like, you know, the one with the drums and shit.
Right.
Like that's kind of when I was figuring out my fashion sense too. And a lot of the people around me were figuring out their fashion sense. So it was like American Apparel, like all these like rock bands. Ideally, it was actually coming from like Eddie Slimane and all these people, but like the trickle down effect when it got to these accessible brands like American Apparel and whatever may have you, that was all during the time of Tumblr. So that's all I was seeing and consuming, in addition to like my upbringing with my dad, which was like more like hip hop and like Joel Santana, Lil Wayne. So I had these like two bridges of influence, and that's kind of what bridged my idea of fashion to today. So anyway, full circle, coming back to that, indie sleaze is like a big thing now. Like you'll see people like Fernando Rangel who run like Unsound Rags, like that's like a reference point from him. And like you'll see like a lot of horizontal flash photography, and like all these things are going back to like the original era of Tumblr that I used to see as a reference to. So it kind of gives me familiarity. So
you still have your Tumblr active. It's called Say No More, right?
Yeah. It's still active. I don't like go on there all the time, but I like having it kind of like an image library, kind of similar to like what like Justin Saunders did.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's just like cool, like just reference images, like things I always go back to. It's cool. I like it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Again, if we kind of go back in high school, I remember you said that kids were looking at you as like this weird kid.
The common thing during high school was mainly like skate culture, hockey, and curling. Curling I found was lame personally. Hockey's too expensive. Like the equipment's super expensive. And then skate culture was sick because like it actually was cool, and the border of entry wasn't that much. Like if you're really putting a lot of money into it, maybe $120 for a full setup, or like if you cheap out on it, we used to be able to get skate decks for like $5 at this place called like No Damn Good, which was a skate park in NDG, and all like the people that used to skate like really heavily, like they just like put their boards that they didn't love anymore for $5. So a bunch of kids were able to skate on a budget. And then anyway, so it was really cheap to skate, so I decided to lean more towards skateboarding. But yeah, when I was just filming skate videos and like BMX videos, eventually I pivoted to BMX as like my thing to do. But as I grew more my liking towards fashion when I was like 14, I want to say 14, 15, I was like you're talking about before with like sneaker culture and all of that. I was able to see that, but I was like, I'm not seeing a lot of fashion content on YouTube where I would really like to see that, because like there's a lot of things that I'm consuming on Tumblr that's not giving context in video format the way I would enjoy it. So like I was just like, let me just talk about these things, and then I ended up making like the Pyrex and HBA video and like the Bape Jacket video. These are all things that like at the boom of my channel really helped me like gain this audience because people just weren't talking about it, you know? So anyway, going back to the point of me being that weird kid, people that were seeing me help them film these skate videos, me all of a sudden talking about fashion, they're just like, it just doesn't make sense. And like also I wasn't talking to anyone. I didn't have an audience and I wasn't telling my friends about it because I was kind of shy. So they never really saw the potential. Like they were just like, oh, like we don't really get it. It's kind of strange and weird that I was prioritizing fashion so much. But the moment I knew things were working, it was like, I think I seen that a video had 40 views and I was like, I didn't tell 2 people, you know? So I'm like, who are these 40 people? Like that was the moment I was like, oh, like this internet thing is real because there's actually people going on this video and watching it that aren't people that I told. So it was an interesting feeling for sure.
It was so interesting to me because I would look at Marquez.
Mm-hmm.
He would be reviewing tech products.
Yeah.
And then I would see your video, which it's funny because you were helping film with fisheye lens.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
your first video is with fisheye.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's like the reference points to like the skate stuff and all that.
Exactly,
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And then, another thing, you actually ended up borrowing your friend's RAF jacket or something along those lines.
Which RAF jacket?
I think it was the pink. It was a product that you bore to review. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Oh, like, was it like the Prada one? The Prada RAF jacket?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it earlier on or more recently?
Oh, it's very early.
Very early?
Yeah, it's like 10 years ago.
I have to look back to that. I don't really remember that video. But yeah, like there were certain moments where I didn't necessarily have the means to like capture things. And still to this day, like I'd rather just give the opportunity to give context to things that don't have context. And it doesn't have to be mine all the time. Like I'm not that type of person that'll like lie to the internet and be like, oh, I have all these things. Like it's not realistic or feasible for a person to just have everything. But if I do know someone that does have that and we have this rapport relationship, I'll like ask them if they feel comfortable like sharing it in like a vlog or like letting me borrow it or like, yeah, there's been mad scenarios like that. Remy was like a huge part of that too. Like he used to do these Supreme hauls and like he emailed me randomly and he's like, you know, I'm getting like a lot of Supreme. Do you want to like make a video together and we could just go through it? I'm like, hell yeah, like let's do it. You know, there's like so many stories of that. My friend Matt Ferrante, he had like all of the Off-White pack, like the first one that dropped, and I had no access to any of that, you know. So I was like, yeah, if you could borrow it to me, like I'll make the video. Anything that works. I was just trying to make it work every single time, you know.
I remember you said because you like fashion, you wanted to get into fashion and you started making videos.
Yeah.
What, like, were you kind of motivated by money at the time?
Never. No, like all of that was purely like passion based. Like I told you, like I was shocked with 40 views, you know. Like I was like happy with 40 views, and I'm still to this day like I even know how people still return after like 10 years, you know, like because I could see it as some people like getting bored or repetitive of it. Even to this day, I don't find myself to be like a hyper energetic person. Like I'm very laid back and tame and relaxed. So the fact that people come to me for entertainment or they feel comfortable around me to like sit down and eat and watch a YouTube video, like when they're getting ready in the morning or whatever they're doing in the day, it's like the hugest blessing, you know. So I was never motivated by money. I only really started making money off of this in the past 3 to 4 years, realistically. So it's like 6 years of nothing.
But you've been able to get opportunities since day one because you put yourself out there.
Exactly. Yeah. That was kind of the trade-off. It was more like the value of relationships and community development. Like I think at the core of it all, it's always been about community for me, because that's more valuable than money. Like relationships and the people that you meet in this life will make you rich in that aspect, not rich of the pocket, you know. Like I think that's the most valuable thing of life. Yeah,
relationships are everything.
100%. Yeah, like you could like imagine a person that knows Michael Jordan versus like I don't know, your rich best friend, you know, like you're probably going to think the guy that knows Michael Jordan is cooler, you know, like, you know, so like that's like the way I think of it. And not for it to be name droppy or anything like that. It's just like, I think that's the beauty of life. Like the people that I've gone to share rooms with or share conversation, people that I've been able to share conversations with have been some of the most memorable life lessons for me, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
For some reason, I cannot talk. Your dad was in high fashion, right? Or high-end fashion?
He was interested in high-end fashion. So, like, originally, my interest in fashion, my mom, if she's watching this, she's going to kill me. But, like, obviously, my whole family is very stylish, for sure. I'll get that out of the way, first of all, because she hates that I give my dad so much credit for things. But my whole family is super stylish. My mom specifically, very stylish woman. She's able to, like, dress her ass off, for sure. But my dad is where I got my fashion knowledge for, like, my fashion knowledge from.
Okay,
because he introduced it to me. Like, I remember growing up, like, as a kid, when I was like, since the point I could remember, like, we're going to Foot Locker like every weekend because he had like a relationship with them, and we were just getting every single Jordan release you could imagine. Like, that was just like our dynamic, and like they just loved him. So like it wasn't like lineup culture back then or like tickets or raffles. Like they just loved my dad, and like we would go in every weekend. He'd get a pair for him, I'd get a pair, and like that's just what it was like. So I was introduced through sneakers originally, and then one of the things that he's always told me is like, oh, like your appearance is the first thing that people are gonna see of you and judge of you, so it's always important to keep that up to par. So like I took that and I ran with it on steroids, basically. Like it was like the moment he told me that, it was just something that really stuck with me, and I just really went full throttle with it, I would say. Now it's like my career, right? So yeah. And then like he started getting into higher end sneakers like Balenciaga and like Louboutin and like all of that. And I think I saw this Balenciaga pamphlet that he had, and I was just like infatuated with it, and I just started flipping through it, and I was like, oh, what's all this about? So I just started digging more and more into it. So,
and if you don't mind me asking, what are the conversations like now with your dad?
They're just like very like, he's super proud. He just like didn't know like this is what could have happened. He's like he's Muslim as well, so like for him to see like all of this and to be accepting of it is like a really beautiful thing, because originally he was very like stuck in his ways, and like me dressing like more like androgynous or feminine, you know, like it was like very hard for him to be accepting of that. But like now, as he's like come into his piece, he's like very fluid with that, you know, like I could wear Kiss heels and he'll be liking my Instagram photos, and I could never have thought of that back in the day, you know. So it's like really cool for him to see and accept me and everything that I'm doing now, you know. So it's really cool.
Was there a certain thing that made him quote unquote accept you or be proud? Or
I think it was just seeing it over time, you know, like not really knowing what his children were going to be up to, and then like to see whatever's happening with me and like the opportunities that have come my way. Like I think like the biggest campaign I ever did was like the Uniqlo one, and that came to fruition while I was on a trip in Philadelphia, and I told them like I secured the deal, and like I told them the numbers and stuff. He's like, I could never have imagined this like a day in my life. Like he was like super, super proud of me. So like that was like a moment I remember a lot, for sure too. It's crazy.
And I like to ask these questions, this question specifically.
Yeah.
When friends like you come on, are you proud of yourself?
I am, for sure. I'm definitely proud of myself. Like I think it's important to have that level of confidence without being like narcissistic or like an egomaniac. Like I definitely don't see myself in that way. Like I definitely have a very balanced ego, but it's good to be self-reflective and be like, damn, like I'm doing a good job, and I'm proud of where I've come and like accomplished to this point. But there's always so much more room to develop and like do better and like get to all of these places that you want to achieve. I always set new goals for myself like every single day, you know. So
yeah, I mean, because you said yourself, the job is never finished.
Yeah, the job's never finished. It's like that Kobe quote, you know, like
yeah.
job's not done. You just got to keep on going.
I mean, I guess we know what job is not finished means,
Mm-hmm.
but then how do you deal with taking time off and taking breaks? Because you have your own schedule.
Yeah, exactly. So like even more recently, I had to force myself to take a break. Like I took like a month break off of YouTube, and it was just because mentally it was just getting a lot for me, like balancing social life, work life, family, like everything all together was just becoming very overwhelming for me. And I have to realize that since I'm the one steering this ship,
Yeah.
I don't have an HR team to tell me like, listen, you gotta chill out. You're like overexerting yourself, and I don't have this paid time leave off, you know, like I have to tell myself, listen, you should take a break for here, or this is like when you should be pushing a bit harder. These all things have to be like self-analytical, as we were saying. It's kind of like a reoccurring theme, but yeah, you just have to really look at yourself and be like, hey, like I need this time for me, and to make sure that I'm okay so that I could be okay for these people, you know, like I need to be able to provide for them, but I need to provide for myself at the same time too.
I mean, you've been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah, man.
It's
10 years is a
insane.
long time. A long time.
My God.
It doesn't really feel that way because like when I was a kid, like when I was like 14, 15 getting into this was just me figuring it out. So like as I've come into my age, like when I actually started making money in this, like that's when I feel like I was actually doing YouTube. But realistically, the timeline is there. Like I've been doing it for 10, almost 11 years at this point now too. So, but the first 6 years were like R&D. I feel like the last 4 were like the actual moments. It's like, it's strange.
Because that's when you quit your job and you went full time, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I got laid off from my job actually. It was like this consulting and styling position that I had.
Right.
And they laid off like 20 people. And it was like maybe a couple weeks before the pandemic, and it was like a very vulnerable moment for me because I was like, damn, like I'm not making money. I think they're trying to like find a way to maneuver me not getting EI too. So I was just like so stressed out, not knowing what to do. So it was either I double down on content or I go into another corporate position, which wasn't even possible because the pandemic hit. So I was just kind of like in this dark place. But I took the negative into a positive, and then literally, like, if you look at my social blade from that moment, it's like the chart is just up from there because I just committed. And yeah, that's why I tell anyone that's ever like having that torn feeling of like, should I do this or that? Just like follow your gut instinct and follow your dream, bro. Because you never know what could happen. Like the moment I did that, like I've seen the most growth I've ever seen on my channel is like when I gave it my 100%, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, I mean, that's awesome. But I mean, when you go all in and, you know, you have that pressure.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of pressure from YouTube, and especially this content hamster
For sure.
wheel. And when you have that kind of responsibility, how do you balance things, or how were you balancing?
I think it's just important to make sure that, like, of course, like without you giving this platform your all, you're not going to see all of the fruits of your labor. But at the same time, back to what we were saying before, if you're not okay and you don't feel like content in all aspects of your life, like work removed, then you just can't even fathom giving yourself to this, you know? So like, I feel like that's like the balance. Like I need to make sure that my friends feel like I'm giving them my heart as well. Like my family needs to feel that way too. I need to feel like content in like my fitness, or like even what I'm consuming in terms of like content or like food. Like all these things need to be in order for me to be at my maximum performance in terms of work, you know? So if that's not taken care of, then I can't even think of that. So I think that's where I think of balance. Just like making sure all of these things are taken care of. Yeah.
And that's the stuff you do for your friends and family and loved ones.
Yeah.
What do you do for yourself?
For myself, I think it's just like just giving those moments of peace, just like, I don't know, reading, like painting. Like I do like a lot of things just like just alone time, watch a TV show, like just like all these things where you could just decompress and like be by yourself are super valuable. Definitely. Like,
Do you still watch a lot of YouTube?
I still watch a lot of YouTube. Yeah, not as like there's moments where I watch more than when I watch less. Like I don't know. Like right now I'm watching more TV than I am watching YouTube. But last month it was different. I was watching a lot of YouTube. You know. So.
And who are you watching on YouTube
right now?
Yeah.
I'm watching CJ a lot. He's like motivating me a lot too.
Dude, he's posting vlogs every day.
I know, like he's motivating me a hell of a lot because he's just hungry, you know.
Yeah.
And I respect the hell out of that dude, bro. Like I'm really happy that we met because his work ethic is like insane, you know. Like, and I don't know how he does it while living in New York and balancing that. Like that's another thing. Going back to balance, like he lives this life, but he still makes sure that he's editing that video and posting it every single day. Like. It's literally like Casey Neistat back in the day, like where people weren't able to understand, like, how is this guy performing every single day, dropping something with like interest every day. It's insane, you know. So.
And each of his videos is getting like I was saying 2K, 3K every single video. Yeah. That's 2,000 to 3,000 people watching every single day.
Yeah. It's incredible, bro. It's really, really good. And like you could see the growth. Every day he's getting more and more subs, you know.
Yeah I'm manifesting a conversation with CJ soon and with Sammy as well, trying to go to New York to have these conversations.
I love Sammy.
I'm putting you on the spot.
I know, for real. But like I met Sammy when I was in New York.
I figured.
I met Sammy when I was in New York. Super nice guy, really, really sweet.
I was talking to him yesterday actually, but let me tell you a story about him. He reached out to me because I did a podcast with Drew. Mm-hmm. So Sammy watched it and he wanted to come on the podcast. At that time, Sammy had like 6K followers. Yeah. And I was down, but I wanted to do an in-person. Now he's at like 70K. Yeah. So it's just amazing seeing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the growth just happens, bro. Like especially like with the power of short form content now, it's like the access point and the outreach that can happen with that is just so vast. That's why I'm starting to give myself more of that like pressure to perform in that space too. Whereas like I've naturally felt that pressure every week to be like, oh, I should try and put out a video. But like now subconsciously I'm like, in that week, I should be making the effort to do short form content as well too. So I'm trying to like figure that out in my schedule too. Cause it's new to me, you know, like I've been doing long forms for 10 years, you know? Right. So like short form's been only since like maybe COVID, and like even in those early stages I saw TikTok as like comical, you know, like it was more like dance videos and like Charlie D'Amelio and stuff like that, you know. But like now as time has progressed, like there's people like Wisdom who are like insane at what they do and like give me that inspiration to be like, oh, like you could take what you're inspired by and make it digestible in that lane. And like put it out to your audience, and it's not going to be looked at as like corny or anything like that. So
have you had a conversation with Wisdom?
I haven't, but he liked a photo of mine recently. I was like, oh damn, that's crazy. Shout out to Wisdom though. I really respect what he does for sure. Really, really good.
That's how I felt when you liked my post.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like there's like everyone, it's like a hierarchy thing, but like it's like it inspires you, you know. Like I think it was my post that I did for Paris Fashion Week. It was like when I got street style that Kid Super. Oh. And I was wearing like the fuzzy hat, and I just randomly I was like, that the Wisdom. I just clicked on it. I was like, oh yeah, it is him. It's crazy. But really, really cool. Really cool. Power to internet is a crazy one.
I know. You know, how would you, I guess, start your journey now, if you had to, considering so much has changed?
Mm-hmm. I'd put a lot of effort into short format content, honestly. Like, for sure. Like anyone that's trying to get into this right now, I would 1000% put my effort into that, and then finding a way to pivot that audience into longer term supporters, because I kind of did the opposite now. Like I have people that are very dedicated to me and like that have been there since day one, or maybe found me a little bit further down the lane. But reaching that broader audience is like what I'm trying to do now. And then that's where kind of TikTok and Reels and Shorts come into play. So I'm doing this Uno reverse card, but now people could just kind of get that grand audience, have that instant boom potentially, depending on how the algorithm works, or like your personality, whatever may have you, and then bring those guys over to a place like YouTube if that's something that they want to do, and preserve that larger audience, if that makes sense. That's like the strategy I would do.
Have you thought about doing a newsletter?
I think I would do something similar to that, but only when I have something to provide in terms of like an actual physical product as well. Like I feel like newsletters are nice, but my audience isn't digesting information like that. I feel like they prefer getting information from me when it's like in a video form or something of the sort, you know, like I think that's what I've seen of them. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe
that's so interesting. How does a creator like you know your audience?
I feel like it's the way they get to learn about, like they get to learn about me for so long. I'm kind of trying to figure out what they like too, right? It's kind of like they get to communicate with me through the comments. I also see it in terms of numbers. Like if they don't go towards this video, I'm like, okay, there's something wrong with this one, you know? And like if they really like this video, I'm like, oh, maybe it's just hitting a larger audience, because it goes back to that like fashion arc that I was talking about before. I don't necessarily make videos for that early consumer as much, more often in times. I more make it for that person in the in between to the end, where it means like, for example, like a Drew Joyner, he makes a video for that early adopter, I would say. Like the person that's just getting into fashion or wants to figure out about trends or like find themselves within fashion. That's why I think Drew's videos do so well, because there's so many people that are trying to learn or are just genuinely curious about fashion in its whole. Whereas like people like Owen, myself, or like Jacob, these are all people that have been doing it for a minute now, but also the things that we're consuming are a bit more niche, or like things that you'll find like once you're a bit deeper in the fashion gates of hell, you know? So like, that's why I kind of see the arc, and that's why sometimes my videos don't do these crazy numbers, because it just doesn't access that every type of person. Not everyone shops on Grail. Most people shop on like these easier accessible sites, you know? So yeah.
How would you describe like your audience, for example? Do you know that ideal customer of Chiron, or
I think
viewer
it's
of
so
customer?
vast. It's definitely vast. I know, I have a feeling like if I'm walking on the street and I feel these eyes like on me, I kind of know the type of person, or like I could kind of guesstimate who would watch my videos based on like how they dress, or like maybe their age range. Like if they're like sub 30 and they dress semi well, and like I feel this like this beaming energy on my head, is probably like
Beaming energy.
yeah. Like I'll definitely think that's ideally my consumer, but I really don't know. There's so many times where I get blown away, where it's like a person from South Africa, or like
Asia,
like anywhere that like love from like Scotland, like all these like weird places that I can never think the videos go, they end up going, and I get these random messages, and it just blows my mind every single time. So I don't really know what the audience looks like, but I do feel it when they're around me, if that makes sense.
So say if you were to see me somewhere, in my Zara parachute pants that my girlfriend gave me, some New Balances and this
I
shirt.
would not judge you, but I also wouldn't know, you know, like that's
wouldn't.
No, definitely not. And that's something that I personally find a beauty in, is like people, not saying that you do this, but people that don't care about fashion, I respect a lot too, because their cares are onto other things. Like not everything has to be about that, I feel like.
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
I actually think my fit is good.
I like your fit too, and I'm not saying that about you. That's not what I'm trying to say.
I know.
Yeah. But I'm saying like in general, like for example, like even my friends that are like into film, like I have like friends from high school that like they used to just like wear the same Vans all the time, or like wear like just regular attire, and that's like chill. Like I love that. Like I'd much rather a person actually like their own thing than try to accommodate to something that's just like, oh, since they like it, I have to like it too, you know?
Yeah, it's like is Rick wearing you or you're wearing
Yeah,
Rick?
exactly. And not everyone has to wear a Rick, you know, like it's probably best if everyone doesn't wear a Rick personally.
Probably,
So,
yeah. Probably, 100%.
Because then no one's going to want to wear it anymore. Like that's like the things that make clothes specials, because it's for that certain community and people kind of gravitate towards that for that reason, you know?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you would kind of go all into short form and then dissect to
I would do
long
that.
form.
Yeah, I think that's like a good way of going about it, especially if you want to become a content creator. I think that's a good strategy.
Would you start a podcast?
At the beginning?
Yeah.
I think it's important to kind of get some base of an audience first, but you're still doing it fantastic without it. Like the way that you handle your shorts, for example, like the condensed versions of the pod, I find very engaging, and like they're really like, they're doing great. And anyone that just wants to commit to a podcast, I think what you're doing is fantastic. But if a person is just like wants to be a content creator in general, I think it would be cool to do short format, transfer it to YouTube, and then eventually like have a YouTube platform, then podcast platform on YouTube as well too.
So going back to the fit that I think is good.
Yes.
What makes a good fit in your eyes?
What makes a good fit? It'll probably sound like super predictable and corny, because I feel like a lot of people talk about this all the time, but maybe it's not as common sense isn't so common for a lot of people. But I feel like proportions and mastering that is a very important thing. Like just like knowing your body and like being understanding of like who you are as a person, like be like, okay, this is my build, these are my strong suits, these are the things that I'm a bit more insecure about, and then finding ways to adapt that to the clothing that you like. And one of my favorite videos I think I've ever done is like with my roommate Louis, and he's like, I'm more of like a, I don't know, standard male build. I have some friends that are super skinny and like a model build, and I have some friends that are shorter, and I have some friends that are more heavy set. And like Louis and I, like he's more of a heavy set, like he's a bigger guy, I'm more like a standard build. So doing that video and asking him these questions that are maybe very vulnerable for some people, it was very helpful to many, because like not many people have that insight as to how they should dress for themselves or what makes them feel comfortable. So I guess like mastering proportions, knowing like cuts that flatter you, colors that flatter you, brands that might make clothes that fit you better than others. All these things are very like important questions to ask yourself. And then eventually as you figure those questions out, you kind of just like master your own sense of style after a while. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I know it's kind of a broad answer to that.
I mean, it's the answer that makes sense though.
Yeah.
You know, you wouldn't be saying something that, well, yeah.
Yeah.
So how would you improve this fit? This
how would I
crop
improve
shirt
it?
And this pair of shoes are up.
I don't think there's anything to improve really. Like, I mean, I guess since we're inside, we don't like, you could just maybe like a nice little jacket. I don't know what jacket you're wearing, but like, yeah, like a nice little jacket. Layering is great because it gives depth to an outfit for sure. I feel like this in the summer, that's like what sucks with guys is like we're so limited to the type of clothing we could wear.
Yeah.
And we're limited to like t-shirts and pants all the time. So in the summer, it's probably the hardest to dress nicely. But in the fall and the spring, it's like very nice because then you could layer a bit, you could like accessorize, you could do a bunch of things, you know? So I wouldn't change too much. Maybe a jacket. Obviously, we can't wear shoes. Right now we got the socks on, but yeah, like, yeah, cool boots, a little jacket, you're good. Maybe a hat. I don't know if you wear hats.
Maybe a hat, yeah.
Maybe a hat. Who knows?
True.
Yeah.
Did you cop the pods? Easy pods?
I didn't. Yeah. That's something going back to like understanding things that work well with you. I don't find super slim shoes look the best on me anymore. So unless like I'm in a slimmer attire, but even that, like I'll balance it out. Like I have wider thighs. So like I tend to wear like more flared pants or like baggier pants. But if I am wearing like a flared pant, I'll do like a skinny boot, but like a skinny sneaker, not necessarily for me personally. So like that's why I didn't get them. But yeah.
It's a weird question. How would you style like a suit from RW and Co?
RW and
or
Co.
Any
or just like a standard suit?
Yeah, just a standard suit.
I think it's like the suit just has to be really well tailored to you. Like you could get like a base suit and just take it to a really decent men's tailor, and they're gonna make it look like it was made for you for like a red carpet. Personally, like it could be like a not a great quality suit, but as long as it fits you well, you're gonna look like $1,000,000. So I would say that one. To any type of footwear that really makes you feel comfortable. I like boots more than like a dress shoe.
Right.
So like like a nice pair of boots or like a derby or something could be nice.
Yeah, derby would be nice.
Yeah, derby would be nice.
Some jewelry.
Yeah, and then knowing what type of like suit jacket flatters you best. Like I like double-breasted blazers with like peak lapels. Like that's my shit. So like I would do that.
No idea what that means.
It's like they flap over and then like there's like a peak here.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like the type of suit jacket that I like. So like you find the one that you like the most, and then you're gonna feel confident in it. So confidence is key with a lot of this stuff.
I wonder if there is any brand that are specifically making suits type of wear.
Suit supply is good. Suit supply is good.
But more so like in a trendy way.
In a trendy way? I don't know,
Rick
it's not
Owen
really
meets
suit
supply.
Yeah, like that in between point. Yeah, I don't really know too many, to be honest. Like for me, it's normally either there's these brands like what you said, RW and Co. and like Suit Supply, like that make this accessibility to suiting, or it's like on the really, really entry where it's like a Zara of sorts, and then the higher end it's like Balenciaga, Rick, and all that. So there's a lot of missing in the gaps, but I feel like that's for the right reasons. It's once you get into the deeper end of tailoring, it gets particular. It gets expensive too. So yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Like I only have one suit and that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
See, I just think silhouettes is everything when it comes to fit.
Yeah. I agree.
Rest in peace to Virgil.
For sure.
You met him, and you guys had a conversation about wine, actually, right?
About wine?
Yeah.
We talked about a lot, actually. It was like a 30-minute conversation.
Wow.
We talked about a lot. It was a lot for me to even like process. Like there's a lot that I'm probably forgetting about right now. We were talking about something about drinking at the time, but anyway, it happened because of Ian. What?
Sorry, I interrupted, but I meant I don't pronounce my W's and V's well, like VINE wine. Vine.
Oh, about Vine. My bad.
No, that's like, my bad.
Okay,
that's
yeah. Okay,
bad.
no worries. Yeah, we were talking about Vine. Yeah, because I made a video of him the first time that he came for like the Yeezus tour in Montreal, and he did like this after party after the Yeezus tour, and I like filmed him at the DJ set and I posted it on Vine, and somehow I had sent it to him, or like I tagged him on like Twitter with the Vine, and he saw it and he like followed me on Twitter right away. And then the next time I saw him again, I think I brought it up to him. He's like, yo, I love that video. So like I think we talked about it briefly then, but then we had a longer conversation. I can't remember if it was before or after that. That came together because like Ian Connor introduced us at a co privé, and like we're just chit-chatting for like maybe 30 minutes, and that should like change my life for sure. Like that sounds like, I don't know, some people might say that's like corny or whatever, but like that guy, like I looked up to like crazy. He's like, whenever you think of what is possible in fashion as a black man, like that's like what you look at, like he's like, he really like shaped all of this for everyone. So I'll say that to the day I die. Like he's like one of the greatest fashion inspirations for a black guy you could ever like have, So,
or I'm brown
for anyone, a person of color, anyone, like minority, anyone, like it could be anything, but like he was like a saint, vessel for sure.
So you said that conversation kind of changed your life.
Yeah, I would say so. Just in terms of like making things feel possible in a way, because like going back to, there's like a lot of connecting points in this conversation, which is really cool, but like going from being this kid in Montreal that was like 14, just like surfing Tumblr and like seeing all these figures that were just like fountains of information and like just cool shit, and seeing them online, and then eventually that kid like growing up and like you're actually able to meet these people and have conversations with them, and they're like feeding off you as you're feeding off them. People like Ian and like people like Virgil. It was like crazy for me because I'm like that never seemed possible ever. Like the internet just felt like this one place, and then like they just felt like in another realm, you know? And then like eventually when it comes to real life, you're like, damn, like this is actually possible. And maybe like what I'm doing is on the right path, you know? If I'm able to like have these moments where we have this crossover episode, if that makes sense.
It gave you validation
to be like, okay, like maybe what I'm doing is making sense. And like not the fact that I needed their validation, but like, oh, they're doing great things and I feel like I'm doing great things, but I just didn't know if I was on that path. And it just gave me that check to be like, okay, yeah, like I am on the right path. And I was able to go and carry on and do my own things and then some, like, you know.
How much did that validation help from V?
It felt great. Like it felt great. Like it was just like, it wasn't anything like, well, yeah, he was like, keep doing what you do. Like he knew that I was doing like YouTube. I brought it up to him and like, he was just like, keep on going. Like you never know what could turn out of it. He was like, you know, it's the same thing with me. Like I didn't know that any of this was going to be possible. Like from like working with Ye to like doing Pyrex and then that turning into like Off-White, you know, like all these things, like you just never know until you actually give it a shot. And maybe that was something subconscious that I took when I had that push comes to shove moment when I was transitioning from the corporate job to just doing content full time. So like you never know, like maybe it was subconsciously like I had him having that conversation with me and like carrying it out into that moment, you know, like I can't think of it, but you never know, you know, like I think we all operate with these small little things that we hold to ourselves in mind all the time. That makes sense.
I think your third video was literally about Pyrex.
Yeah. That like, cause that literally resonated with me so much because there was never brands that were in between high end and streetwear that I just didn't even know that was possible. Cause this like high end streetwear thing wasn't a thing before like Hood by Air and Pyrex. And they were both like black brands. I was like, this is so sick. Like this is exactly what I love, you know? And that's like what I wanted to feel a part of and like participate in. So that's why I remember I got my first check from working at Costco and I just like blew it all on like RSVP gallery. Like I just gave them like, basically I took my whole check. I was like, take my money, you know, like I got a Pyrex hoodie and a Hood by Air long sleeve. And
I love it.
I don't recommend that to anyone. That's like, obviously be very smart with your money, but I was young and dumb and like super inspired by these brands. And like, honestly, it kind of helped me, you know? And there's a lot of times where people go on my DMs and they're like, do you recommend I take this money and put it towards school, or should I invest in clothing and then do like content, you know? And I'm like, I do not come to me for financial advice. Like definitely no, because I've done an unconventional way of like entering my career, and I didn't even know it was going to be a career back then. I was just young and dumb and like super passionate about what I was doing, and then it turned into this. So whenever you have those moments in your mind, just like follow your gut. That's all I would say. But education is always very valuable, no matter where you get it from, like whether it's on the internet or in school or friends. From your peers, friends. Like it depends on where you want to get it. But
yeah, lately I've just been betting on myself too.
That's good, bro. I think that's like the one person you can always bet on is yourself, especially if you believe in what you're doing. So,
and you did that. Yeah,
and you're doing that right now too. So you know, so that's like, I think that's one of the things I admire the most about people is like ambition and actually acting on that, you know, because like the moment that you could translate those feelings into action, like you're unstoppable. You could just keep on going. Like you like that momentum, you could never break that if you genuinely believe in something and can act on it and see that progression. You're just gonna be a beast, bro. You're just gonna keep on going.
Were there moments where you were like, you know what? I don't think this is for me, making YouTube videos or fashion even. Was there a moment where you were like, I don't know if fashion is for me?
Maybe that moment when I got laid off, like I was just like, damn, like what am I going to do now? You know? Cause like I had this thing that was so secure and like my views were super low. Like I wasn't getting mad views at the time I don't know what was happening, but my views were low. I got laid off. the pandemic hit, like it was just like I was just getting rocked like this, you know. I was like, damn, like what the fuck am I gonna do? And then it just, yeah, like it somehow it worked out because like I just believed in it. But yeah, there's always gonna be moments where you doubt yourself, or like a month or so ago when I just needed to take a break, you know. Like there's moments where you're gonna have life in front of you, you know,
Yeah,
like life
indeed.
be
Life is
life
gonna
in
happen.
something sometimes, you know. So yeah, you just gotta take that step back and really be like, hey, is this for me? Yeah, keep it going, you know. I just always
Gotcha.
believed in it. Like, so I've never, the moment you start doubting yourself, that's like when it could start to get scary because you have like a little life crisis.
Yeah.
But I've been blessed to know that I've wanted to do fashion since I was 14. But many people figure out what they want to do when they're 30, 40,
Indeed.
50, you know,
Or
like,
even never.
yeah, never, you know, maybe you never figure it out, but like you always try. That's like the important thing. You just always like try to figure it out, or like search for these answers. You might not find them, but you could always attempt to find them.
Right.
Yeah.
What's been another obstacle in your creative journey, if you would
Another
like to talk about?
obstacle that has been in my creative journey, I guess, like just making sure that everything is balanced in terms of like my creative arc, if that makes sense. Like I've been doing content for 10 years now, and I know a lot of people's creative arc is like you go into YouTube, you become a content creator, you kind of do this like brand deals and all that, and then eventually like you start like this YouTube brand or something, you know. So I've seen that happen to so many of my peers, and a lot of brands that they've made is amazing brands, you know. Like I love almost every one of my
Yeah.
peers is like brands. But I've talked about this with Will Lazary, funny enough, and like we've just been figuring out what could be my next step in terms of like a product offering that I would like to bring into the space that might not just be directly in the lane of just fashion itself. Like it doesn't have to be clothing directly. And we've been brainstorming, and like I feel like it is a bit too early to talk about right now on the pod, but we have been brainstorming, and it's a good idea. I like it a lot.
Ooh.
Yeah. So like
Okay.
it's like a very smart one, and it flourishes in time, especially in like the age range that I'm in right now. And it overlaps into so many aspects that are like art driven or like in this lifestyle space, and also into fashion too. So like I'm really passionate about the idea, and I think it'll grow well.
Is it
what I'm
production
doing.
related?
It's like I would have to produce it for sure, yeah. But like, yeah. I know it's kind of like, like it's like not super, like you can't really see it because I'm not really giving you guys too much, but
No, I
it
don't
is
think you
fun.
have to.
Yeah, I think
You certainly don't.
it'll be a very cool one once it manifests in a way, or like comes to life. We're still like poking holes into it and like doing R&D, but it's a cool one.
It's been a long time coming. Every single podcast interview you have done there, like, oh, everybody has a brand. Where's Karen's
Yeah,
brand?
yeah.
You
It's
know?
always that, yeah, for sure. And I've probably been the last one, if not the only one, that doesn't have their own like product baby that they're able to like offer to the people, you know. So like, I
But
don't
very
know.
early on, you made that jacket for Array.
Yeah, we've been collaborating for a lot of years. Like,
Yeah,
or
that
is
was-
like my brother, you know, like Ray. Shout out to Ray, like he's
Right.
a beautiful person for sure. But yeah,
Shout out
like the
to Ray.
collaborations are amazing because I get to like kind of let people into my world without it being fully around me. Like it's kind of like a meeting of the minds, and then they get to enjoy a product, but at the same time, it's not fully there yet. So they get a little taste, but eventually I'll get there.
Because I remember you said you want to do furniture design,
Mm-hmm.
some do with gallery work,
Yeah.
some do with film.
Mm-hmm. That's all stuff that's definitely in the cards. Like
Yeah.
I still want to do that. I think that's stuff that flourishes in age too, because I'm still, even though we're in this generation where I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, at my age, 27, they think like I'm old as shit. But like, I still feel very young. Like I feel like I haven't figured out so much of what I want to do yet. And those things, like you said, like furniture design, gallery work, these are all things that I could see myself doing like when I'm 40,
60.
50, 60, you know, like Rick is making furniture and he only started doing that when he met Michelle like way later in his life, you know? So I see myself pursuing similar things down the line when fashion might not be my full calling, but it's something I'm very passionate about, and I could translate it into other mediums, if that makes sense. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, fashion is design, and you can incorporate design in anything, even in your daily life.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you still hate shopping online?
Yeah. I
So I'm sure then whatever you're going to bring, there's going to be more of an in-person vibe.
I'll try to do that as much as possible. I do realize that a lot of people aren't like me. They do like shopping online. It's just the way I am, Like, I think the coolest in-person experience I've ever had was when Justin Saunders did that like JOUND gallery space for the Vans that he released like years ago, like the green, brown, and gray ones. It was like basically like a art gallery, and then it was shop now, ship later. So like you could shop it in the gallery, and then they would just ship it to you at another time. So you had that in-person experience with the product, but then they could just ship it to you at your own like means, so that you didn't have to walk around with a bag or do whatever, but you still got that in person, but online. It's like kind of a two-ended thing. Something I would probably take notes from down the line if I were to do some type of pop-up thing, maybe, if it was efficient to do so. But yeah, I don't like online shopping, but I know a lot of people do. So yeah.
I don't either.
No,
I like the feeling the fabric.
Same.
And you know,
yeah,
seeing how it's gonna fit.
It's
And
all
it's like
important,
you're spending so much money, and you're like, oh, I don't even get to like walk out
Yeah,
with it
yeah,
type
yeah,
of thing.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah, that's
totally
how
agree.
I feel.
Yeah, so I would love to backtrack and get some of my favorite pieces that I knew like growing up back in the day, like whether it's like Vetements or like, cause like I love Demna's work, and like, or like old Hood by Air stuff that I would love to go back and get, or like Pyrex even. These are all things I can only get on Grailed, and like it's like an online experience. I can't necessarily just go into a store and get it. I keep on pushing that back because I hate shopping online, but I do know that's the only way to access these things. But yeah, in a dream world, that's why I just always go in person, or like I'll just like go to Essence, like call it a day, and like try on stuff that I like. So
it's funny because shout out to Will Lazary. He asked what's next for Kyron, but he knows what's kind of next
so yeah,
for
he
you.
knows. Yeah, he asked because he probably wants me to like a little sprinkle it a little bit.
Yeah,
but yeah, he knows. He's a brilliant guy. I love the conversations we have and share. And every time we have a conversation, some type of beautiful outcome comes out of it, whether it's like a great idea, or like just a hint of what I should be doing in the now. And yeah, it's great to see where he's come all this way. Like I remember first starting YouTube, and we were doing like joint reviews on like Jordan 1s like in 2016, 2015, or maybe even it was before that. I don't even know. But he's been having attempts at YouTube from back then. And to see all of these things like come to fruition for him right now is like so stunning. And I'm like really, really excited for him. He has like a lot of good stuff on the way, and he deserves everything that is coming to him right now. So
I love it.
It's dope,
Yeah. I'll tell you a story. So back in 2020, when I had my brand, I reached out to you.
Okay.
But you never got back to me, which is completely fine.
Yeah. Sorry for that, by the way.
No,
But
that's
it does happen.
I don't want to say that. But the
for
reason
sure.
why I asked this question is there's so many people starting clothing brands, and I hear it quite often. They're like, even in Montreal, they're like, I want Kyron to wear my stuff. So how do clothing brand owners and just people that want to give you product contact content creators like you and like collab and build a relationship?
Yes. So I think there's a great way to approach things like that. One of the things for me, I love the series that I do on YouTube where I'm like showing love to emerging designers, because I am able to give them a bit of a platform and like highlight what is in the now for these like new age creators, or like just like brands in general. But in terms of how to get it to that person, it's like a multitude of ways. You can either just like dry email them directly, or maybe go to an event that they're going to be at and like have that in person interaction, because I find that so much more valuable, and you're able to give a lot more context. They could probably see it if you bring it to them. As long as it's not overwhelming or bombarding, and it feels not transactional, feels like they can actually genuinely see themselves in the clothing, or like at least associate to like the story of what you're trying to put together, then I feel like that makes the most sense, besides it just being like, oh, if Kyron wears my stuff, it's gonna blow up and I'm gonna be rich, you know? So it's like that's like exactly what some people think, and like that's why I don't have a PO box. Like, I don't want to accept every single clothing item, because one, it's not sustainable. I'm not gonna wear everything. Two, it's just like, if I don't like the product, I'm not gonna show the product.
Right.
So that's why it's always been like, if there's people that DM me with their brand and I do actually like it, I will tell them, hey, like, you could send it to me. I can't guarantee that it's going to get posted in the exact type of way that you do, because sometimes there's certain deliverables that they're asking for me. They're like, I need like a concrete post. I need a reel. I need like it to be in this video in this certain type of way. Like, once you start asking all these things, then it's kind of like a sponsored post. And
Right.
like, for these things, like, I do charge money for that, you know?
Indeed.
So it's like, that's just the point of my career that I'm in. And I hope that a lot of brands realize that with like content creators, they're a brand as well, just as you're a brand, you know? So like,
Gotcha.
meeting this compromise or this like middle ground is so important for content creators to brand relationships. So yeah.
So say I have this brand,
Yeah.
brand A or whatever.
Yeah.
And if I am to reach out to you and I'm not living in Montreal, do you email is probably better?
Email
right?
is best, because it's like very professional, I would say.
Okay.
And I'd much rather that than a DM. If the DM is very professional as well too, and written almost like an email, and that's just easier for the brand, then that's fine too.
Oh, you prefer professional DM? If
No.
it was
I'm
me-
saying like, if they're not going to email me, then I prefer like a DM that's kind of like broken
Lengthy.
down in a,
Okay.
like an email type of format, because then it just lets me know that they're treating the brand as seriously as I would conduct myself too. Because like, when I don't really do much outreach, but like now, since I'm with an agency and I see the ins and outs of how things are done, like, I would want myself to be represented in a way that's professional, rather than just like, oh, I would really like your clothes and you should pay me this much for it, and like just send that off. You know, it would be more approachable if it's like painted in this certain type of way that allows you to shine in the right light, if that makes sense.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think professionalism is like a really good attribute across the board. Like, it might be stark to some people, but I think it's a good aspect to have, for sure.
So if I was to reach out all lowercase letters,
I think it's fine. Yeah, like, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Like, if the clothes speak for itself
Right,
sometimes
yeah.
too. And then also, not everything has to be professional. Like, I've had people that I was in Luke's, which is like a streetwear, high-end streetwear store in New York that does like buy sell trade, and like some guy was shopping in there and he's like, oh, I actually have a hoodie, like I want to give it to you from a brand. Like, that's completely fine too.
Right.
If I like it, then I'll take it, you know. If not, then I'll just say it's not for me, or like carry on that way. Like, it could be super candid. It doesn't always have to be professional, but I'm saying like sometimes it does help in certain scenarios, definitely.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Interesting. Because, for example, for even podcasts, I literally email all lowercase and I'm like, hey, I just want to be friends with you.
Yeah.
Want to build a friendship with you.
That's cool
And
too.
would love to.
Everyone's
sit down
approach
with
is
you.
different, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, for sure. It doesn't always have to be a certain type of way. Yeah, there's like a multitude of ways that just work for me too. Like, I would have never been friends with Remy if he never just like emailed me and he's like, hey, like, I just want to be homies with you. Like, let's just like review these Supreme items together. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or like, yeah, there's a bunch of people I've met through DM, through email, like just like random encounters. Like, either be professional, like either be super chill on some friend shit, and like we just end up hitting it off. It really depends on rapport and personalities and how they click up together. So yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of different ways of looking at it.
What is it that you look in for a brand then?
I like story. I like story a lot. Like, I think that's why I resonate so much with like Skina, which is like John Mooney's brand, and like
Yeah.
Joshua Jamal, who's like Josh's brand too. Like, these are all things that I resonate with personally, because they have some type of context and depth to it. It's not just like here's my Instagram brand with like puff print hoodie and like, you know, like it's like, yeah, you know, like people know exactly the difference between like a brand like that where it's clearly for some type of monetary gain versus like, I'm telling you this story and I hope you resonate with the clothing and appreciate it just as much as I appreciated creating it. So that's why I like these things, you know?
Did you hear that?
I did.
That was
It
my
funny.
stomach,
yeah,
dude.
no, it's
What
all
the
good.
heck?
Maybe we have to get some eats after.
Yeah, maybe we definitely have to get eats.
But yeah, like I think that's why I love these brands is because there's actual story attached to them. And like Josh has given me so much context as to like why he appreciates like military, like I'm wearing the shorts right now, like military because of his father used to be a parachuter, you know, like bringing all these things into the brand is like his upbringing, his story, what he grew up with, you know. And I believe he's from Long Beach. I'm horrible with California and fucking areas and stuff like that, but I believe he's from Long Beach. But John, like he has like a traditional Chinese upbringing, like with his parents. Like you can see so much like reflection in Skeena with that as well. Like there's like so much like authentic Chinese influence in Skeena and like bringing that into a contemporary light with like the design language and like what he grew up with, like Allen Iverson being like a style icon and having like baggy sweatpants and like all these different touch points that he loves, he brings it into his brand, you know? So that's what makes a cool, intriguing brand to me. It's like a story.
So look at this. Mm-hmm. This is an upside down chest pocket.
Yeah.
My goal is to make products not wearable. No, that's not the goal.
Okay.
But the whole idea is to literally put imperfections out there.
Like a person that comes to mind when you're bringing up that point is like Carl Christian Pohl or like CCP. He's like a designer that he kind of treats his product with like he doesn't want the person to feel comfortable in the clothing. Like it kind of treats like the clothing as art. So like he has things that are like go against the natural form of the human body. So like you're not necessarily comfortable in it, or like it makes you even feel uncomfortable. Like he has a bag that's like made out of a pig, like, and it's like a full like
really
pig, you know, like, so it's like there's certain things that it's like counter wearability or like counter like fashion, you know, it's like an anti-fashion thing. So yeah, CCP is like an interesting one where they kind of have similar not exactly, but like similar things to what you're saying. It's like not necessarily wearable, or like these like imperfections that you could see in the brand, or like maybe it's not meant to last the longest, but it's intentional, you know, like there's these certain like touch points that I find interesting in what you just said that other designers that are very renowned do as well too.
So what are some other brands that you have your eye on?
That I have my eye on right now? I don't know. Like they always, like whenever I get asked that question, it's hard to think of them in the moment. But yeah, Brian Jimenez does a great stuff.
I was helping my friend because he owns Undiscovered magazine. Okay, so cool. A lot of clothing brands that are emerging. Mm-hmm. He basically like helps them get awareness.
Nice.
Type of thing. And I was like, hey, you need to do a post on like top 10 or just brands from Canada. Mm-hmm. And he's like, okay, well, tell me some. So if we were to discuss right now, what are some brands from Canada? We got Spencer Badu, legend. St. Woods.
Yeah, St. Woods. Dime. Jown. Yeah, these are heavy ones. Cartier is home. Shout out to Satis for sure. He's doing great stuff. That Roots collab is so
man,
fire.
That's nice.
Super fire.
Mr. Saturday is from
Toronto.
From Toronto too. Yeah. So that's 6.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to pronounce that name.
Which one?
Pierre.
Oh, Pierre Bassan.
Oui.
Yeah, Pierre Bassan.
I just turned French.
Atypic. Tristan Cole.
Yeah. By Tristan Cole.
Yeah. Josh is technically from California, but he's like out here in Montreal now, so we'll give him a little slot in there too.
Yeah. That's 9. We'll leave the last one till the end of the podcast.
Yes.
Yeah. And I have some honorable ones too.
Yes.
And what is a next fashion trend prediction?
I think that a next fashion trend prediction will be, well, we've always had like Y2K for the girls, right? But like I
Indeed.
think right now for guys, people are kind of gonna revisit. You're seeing like I guess hints of it right now with like people like Playboy Cardi and stuff like wearing more like early 2000s hood attire, if that makes sense, for like lack of better words. It's like Pele jackets and like
Okay.
fur and like Timberlands, baggier pants, Evisu, all these things that I remember when I was growing up in like '03, '04, like that was like, these were like, oh my God, crazy brands to me, you know? So like seeing that come for full circle back to like it being popular now is really interesting as well. And like people like Joel Santana, like Jim Jones, I used to look up to heavily, and the fact that Cardi's kind of bringing it back into that lane, I think that's going to be kind of a trend again too. But I find that interesting because he went from like this like all black, like Rick Owens and Balenciaga aesthetic, and he realized that it got adapted so heavily by so many people, and like it turned into this like, even on TikTok you'll see it, it's like the opium aesthetic. It's like all black, everyone's
Indeed,
wearing all
yeah.
this, and then like you probably realize, okay, now everyone's kind of looking like me. How do I keep it fresh? How do I keep people on their toes again? And he like flipped to this kind of style, which is cool, and you're gonna see people like follow it too, you know.
Jaden Grundy does a good job
He does a great job. He does a
in
great
terms
job.
of that style.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
I don't want to put somebody in a box.
Yeah, no, definitely
Yeah.
not. I think he interprets it very well too. I feel like some people put me in that box as well, but like I think right now I feel the most confident and comfortable in the way I'm dressing because it's the way I've wanted to dress since I was a kid. I just wasn't able to. Like my mom was like, "Oh, you're not going to look like a thug walking down the street." Like I have this like video I want to do with Ryan Finn actually, where it's going to be talking about why your favorite content creator is wearing Timberlands, and like it's going to go on the premonition of like hood fashion and like fashion that was just like adopted by black culture, and why it's like accepted by so many now. And you see like brands like Balenciaga like adapting it and like just like making these like really oversized silhouettes that were really like popular in that time and in these neighborhoods and communities, and like understanding why it's coming back now and like why it's being accepted now, you know? So I'm really excited to make that video, one, but like, yeah, going to the core of it all, I'm just living for that smaller person, like that younger version of myself, like when I was a kid and I wasn't able to wear that. Now I'm wearing exactly what I would have wanted to wear when I was a kid. You know?
Gotcha. So that fashion trend prediction would be Y2K.
But for like not even a Y2K, it's like more like
OP.
men's, like, yeah, it's like men's like early 2000 hip hop attire, I guess. I don't even know how to put it into
Yeah,
words.
Exactly. That's what
But
I
it's
was.
like that, like Pele, like baggy pants, fur, stuff like that. You know?
Fur.
Yeah, for sure. Fur hats, whatever. Like anything
Fur
that
hats,
anything
yes.
that like Cameron and like Dipset was wearing back then, like that's what I predict like being at the forefront. But like a bit contemporary. Like they'll probably mix it with some of the brands that are going on into now. And yeah, kind of like adapting it and modernizing it.
You don't have to name, but any brands. But are you helping a lot of brands come up with these products? And
yeah, well, like some of them, like one project that I'm working on right now that I'm really excited with is this brand called Borden, and it's my friend Eugene's brand, but I'm a part of the team. So as on the background, I'm working on my own stuff that's probably not going to be ready anytime soon, but in the immediate time, Borden's like a product is a brand that I'm really happy with, that I'm a part of the team of. I'm like basically like in the marketing space for this team, and I'm also involved in like some of the design pitches or like the yeses or the nos or whatever. But Eugene is the captain of that ship. My other friend Roy too, he's like involved on the project as well. But that's going to be more of like a fall, winter, spring, summer approach, like a true fashion brand. And the first bit of the collection's out already, so people could definitely check that out, and they'll see a lot more of that coming soon. But
check out where?
Borden. Yeah. Yeah.
Borden.com.
I'll find the exact. Yeah, I believe it's Borden.com, but let me get the exact details for you before I butcher that. Borden. Borden.studio, actually.
Borden.studio.
Borden.studio, yeah. So you'll see more of that as the months go on. But yeah, like Borden has been a really exciting project that I've been able to work on with Eugene and Roy. So yeah.
What place, it could be a cafe, restaurant, could be your own room, gives you that creative freedom to work?
I mean, I've always worked out of my room, right? Like my room's been my studio since 10 years ago, you know? So I guess I feel the most comfortable there, but if not there, then like anything that has like really interesting design, like I like how you guys have the togos here, you know, like things that feel inspirational in terms of like design or like even like small little accents that just make me feel
You're more than welcome to come here and work, Kyron.
Hey man, you know, like anything like this, like it makes you feel like just at peace, you know, like
yeah,
I appreciate like the smaller things, like coffee table books, like, you know, like the Virgil book, or like, yeah, cool furniture, scents, like room scents, like things like that. It could be so many things, but yeah, room would be the first one. Anything beyond that would be like any type of like joint studio space that my friends are working out of. Like I'll probably go there, or even like a friend's house. Like, yeah, I might go do that later today. I might go work with some friends, edit a video. So yeah.
How do you not go to sleep when you're in your room and your bed is right beside you?
How do I not go to, if I'm like filming
or doing anything?
Oh, doing
like when
anything.
You know your bed is just behind you. You can just take
that's
a nap.
One thing that I kind of don't like about, like, I'll edit in my kitchen because I don't have like an office space, right? So,
okay.
But the plan is like when I move out that I'll have this dedicated space that's kind of like an office, so that I could have that detachment between workspace, living space, and my personal space, like a bedroom, you know? So that's the plan in the next year, hopefully, that I'll be able to achieve that. But yeah, it is super important to have that detachment. But like in my room, the only thing I do in my room is film. I don't edit in my room. I hate editing in bed. Like that. It's like so cursed to me. Like I need to edit like in the kitchen, but ideally I don't even like doing that too. I'd rather like have like an office space and like do all of that.
You don't have an editor?
I do have an editor for when
nice.
It's like a bit too hectic for me. Like if I'm traveling and I have like 3 videos backed up and I can't get to all of them on like a timely manner, then I'll hit up my boy Alex to edit for me and like get that video done. But for the most part, I edit most of my videos. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What album are you listening to these days?
Vultures is cool. What else am I listening to? Let's go through the phone.
Let's do it.
We got it. What music are we listening to right now? 454. It's this new artist. I don't know. I just found out about him. He's pretty cool. Snow Strippers, new artist as well. Not even new, but she's been around. They've been around for a bit. Fernando put me onto Lil Texas. He might be mad that I'm not gatekeeping that, but it's okay. The people have to know. Chow Lee and Cash Cobain, super sick. I think that's about it right now. Yeah,
that's about it.
Sade too, on my calm vibes. If I'm just editing, I listen to a lot of Sade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you read?
Occasionally, not as much as I'd like to, but I do have some books that I want to get to. Yeah.
What books have you finished, if you can remember some?
I just finished Amatora finally, which is good. It was like the origins of Japanese adapting Americana culture, which is really cool. Like why they choose to preserve it and why they like idolize it so much. I just recently finished that, so that was
gotcha.
Cool. Yeah.
What materialistic thing you would like to buy
right now?
Yeah, it could be a furniture piece. It could be togos. Yeah. All right.
For sure.
Someone get some togos to Karen.
Yeah, definitely. Like as I'm thinking of moving in the next year, that's things that I'm thinking about is like furniture and like other things like that. It's not necessarily like clothes. Like I feel like clothes kind of like they just like come and go. Like I feel like they just naturally end up in possession at the point that I'm in. But now it's like things like furniture is something that I'm thinking about a bit more. Like, yeah, I don't know.
What was the last thing you bought?
The last thing I
In
bought,
terms of, it could be clothing or something like more materialistic.
let's see. I always have to go back to photos and remember what the last thing I bought was.
Not a problem. Go for it.
I don't really remember, I haven't bought anything in a very long time, though, I will say. Like, I think the last thing I bought that was like a substantial amount of money was like these Balenciaga jeans. These like light wash ones I wore on my birthday. Everyone wants to see that. But yeah.
What jeans did you get, Max?
Those were from Esoteric, I believe. Were they from Esoteric or Elwood? One of the two. I think I just got my pay from the Uniqlo campaign. And I was like, let me treat myself.
Yeah,
Nice,
yeah.
So yeah.
What goes in a campaign like that?
A lot of back and forth, a lot of email threads. I think that email thread was like 100 emails.
No
in total.
way.
I swear to God, yeah.
100.
Maybe over 100 emails back and forth. Like just like communicating about like approving the content, getting the contract signed, location revision, like saying which photographers are going to be on board for what shoots. There's like 5 posts, I believe, that had to go up. So like there's a lot that went into that for sure. But yeah.
You just finished working with Converse and Foot Locker too.
Yeah. It was a funny post situation with that one because they took like a different approach on like influencer marketing where they made the content and like it wasn't us that made the content. So like that was like done with, I believe, with like AI.
Oh, what?
So like I didn't like that video. I didn't take that video. Like they took it and it was like kind of like built with AI, I believe, and it's cool. Like it's like they really did like a interesting way of like approaching that campaign, and it ended up going viral because people think it's real, but like I don't believe it's real. Interesting one, but yeah, it's like an AI generated sneaker on a crane, and people thought it was like in the Old Port, but
damn,
yeah. People are asking me to this day, they're like, where is that? Where is that? Like I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. You'll have to go and find it if you could find it. I don't know.
I mean, have you looked at OpenAI's the text to video now?
Mm-hmm.
Yo,
it's crazy, bro. Like even to see that, like I believe they AI'd my voice too, like for that video.
Holy.
Yeah, like I guess they just took like sound banks from like my YouTube videos or whatever, and they seen how I compose certain reactions and sentences, and they made that short little clip and it went viral. I think that's like my most viewed reel in a short amount of time. Like it did like 100K views in a day. Like it was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, very well.
So if it wasn't for Kanye, Lil Wayne, and Rocky, who would you say kind of inspired your creative journey?
My creative journey? I would say on the smaller end of things that made it more like tangible and like showed me that it's possible for me too. I would say like 2 people that I admired was like Lucas Abad and Ian Connor for sure, because they were in my same age bracket, yet they were doing things that I was aspiring to do, yet I'm maybe even doing a bit of right now, and were able to reach such heights in their careers respectively. Yeah, for sure. Like when I was younger and I seen them on Tumblr just like doing their thing, and now what I'm seeing them do now is like really, really inspiring for sure in terms of the creative process. On the higher creatives, I guess I would say like Lenny Kravitz and like other rappers that I listen to for sure. Like just like like Jim Jones and Jewels. Like style wise, I always like look up to them. That's like in terms of style, like Lenny and them. But yeah, creatively, I would say Luca and Ian for sure. Yeah.
Do you think Lil Yachty is one of the best dressed
rappers
right now?
For sure. 100%.
Right?
Yeah, definitely. 100%. He dresses very, very well.
Yeah.
Very, very well. Yeah. Barry dresses well too. A lot of people just know how to dress well for their body, or they just know what pieces to get. Like they're just like very in tune with what to buy. Cardi too.
So you're staying here, right? You're not moving.
No, I don't plan to. If I do move, it would be temporarily, I would say. Like the two places that feel like a home away from home that I've traveled to have been like London or LA for sure. Like the energy has just felt right there.
Not New York?
Not New York. It's too hectic. It's like it gets me anxious going to New York actually.
Really?
But when I was younger, I used to love it. I used to live for it. It's changed a lot though, for sure, over time as I've grown and like become older, I guess. Like I could spend like a max of maybe 5 to 6 days there, and I'm like, yeah, it's time to go home. Yeah.
Everybody is just grinding.
Yeah, it's just like a lot of rustle and bustle. Like I don't know if I'd be able to do that, but yeah, London and LA feel very like me, you know.
You give me hope, and let me tell you why. Because my girlfriend doesn't want to move from Montreal.
Okay.
And I'm sort of trying to be in like, you know, a similar space as you. And I'm like, well, LA and New York and London, they're the places I should be, you know?
Yeah.
But then I'm like, but Karen's here.
Yeah. But I mean, if you think of it in this way, someone brought this to my attention not too long ago. It's like when they were analyzing me and what I do, and they're like, what makes you special, Kyron, is that you're doing what you do from Montreal. If you did it in New York or LA or like Paris, like there's one of like thousands of that same person trying to achieve those same goals. And what makes your story so different is because you have this relatability to Canada and this like relatability to Montreal that makes your story different from the person that would come from these like typically fashion background places, you know? So that's what makes it special, and that's what makes the story so intriguing, is because it's different, you know? So that's why I think staying in Montreal works for me, and like what made my journey so special for people to watch and enjoy is because it's from somewhere different.
Have you always been like this articulate in terms of with your words, pronunciation?
I guess so. It's always been the way that I speak. I feel like I don't have the best grammar sometimes, but yeah, I like to be well spoken sometimes.
Yeah.
As much as I can be. Yeah, for sure.
Do you still get shy in front of the camera?
Yeah, all the time. Vlogging especially too, because there's always like a time and a place, and sometimes you want to like live in the moment, but it's not ideal all the time, you know. Like there's a time and a place for the camera to be out and for it not to be out. And also, if I'm in public, not everyone feels comfortable with that. Like even in Montreal, it's like not common for someone to be filming themselves. But if I'm in New York or if I'm in like LA, London, like a lot of people see that more often than they would out here, you know. Or if I'm in Toronto, or I don't know.
Gotcha.
Strange.
Well, it's kind of making me sad, but we're sort of coming to an end. I'm gonna give you a Sharpie.
Cool.
And a sketchbook.
Okay.
And now imagine this paper that I'm going to give you is a billboard.
Okay.
And then this billboard captures all the creatives' attention in the world.
Okay.
And I want you to write a message you want to display on this billboard.
Okay, cool.
And you can take as much time as you want.
It's a nice little Pharrell quote.
You can do
it too.
You can do it too.
Yeah. Great song. But good statement for sure. You could do it too.
And what does that mean to you?
Because I feel like I didn't have it told to me so much when I was younger, but maybe through like artists that I was listening to at the time, or the only person that was saying it out loud was like maybe like Virgil and stuff, but like that to that younger person that might think that all of this is impossible, or like these people are like superheroes, like no one should be on this pedestal or this hierarchy. Like everyone has not this equal chance, because like you might be born into a different scenario or whatever may have you, but it's definitely possible. Like if you really put your heart and soul into something, like there's a high chance that it could come true, you know? So you could do it too. Like everyone has that chance if you really want to put your all into something. Yeah.
And I like how you were able to convey that.
Yeah.
We still have to name 1 or 2 more Canadian brands
Yeah.
to end the pod.
I remember the name now. Thank goodness I remember the name. Asterix Adidam.
Yes, Nico.
Thank goodness I remember that. Sorry for taking so long, Nico. You guys are amazing though. But
Yeah.
Asterix Adidam. Amazing brand. Really good stuff.
All right.
And also, if I forgot anyone's, I'm very sorry.
Yes.
I'm very, very sorry. But it's hard to think on the spot of all these brands. But you guys make great things in general. Every brand that I've ever discussed on YouTube or talked about in person, like you guys make great stuff. So, yeah.
How can people have conversations with Kyron?
I love in-person conversations. So if you ever see me in person, please don't be shy to talk to me. Because I've had a lot of scenarios where people are like, I saw you XYZ over here, but I didn't say hi. And I'm like, that kind of sucks. Because I wish I like, every time anyone has an opportunity, you should try and like shoot it. I believe in. Like, that's what I believe in too. That's how I've gone to the places I am today. It's just like taking those moments of opportunity and capitalizing off of it. But yeah, in-person conversation is golden. I love that.
But support him on the YouTube, obviously.
The YouTube, yeah, if you're in the comment section on YouTube, that's perfect too. DM, super good.
At Gotsweige.
Gotsweige, that's me.
Swage,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, GOTSWEIGE, that's me.
Which basically is like Gotswag, but your version.
Yeah. It's a long story, but
it was a high school story, right?
High school story, yeah. Play on influence, basically. In a nutshell, it's just like a play on influence. And it was around the time that I was getting my YouTube channel started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to?
I think that's about it. Thank you guys for taking the time to hear me yap. And hopefully you guys enjoy everything else that I put out into the world. Yeah, TikTok is Swage. Got Swage on the gram. Check out Borden.studio. And yeah, that's about it. Shout out to all my great friends out there and family and everyone else that gets to share a conversation with you. Because without Nolan and Max and just all these people that were doing it beforehand, I would have been here. So like you're doing a good job of curating the people you have on here. So,
thank you. Truly means the world.
For sure.
Awesome. We'll end it here.